Thank you to everyone joining us today. A warm welcome to returning friends and new connections. Previously, we talked about the real pressures that are faced in anatomy education. Dissection remains a cornerstone, but the challenges are still growing in terms of access and cost. And at the same time, students are expecting technology-enabled, engaging learning experiences. And so today, you're going to hear from our guest about how XR and MR, extended reality and mixed reality, was explored to address these challenges with a research project and the results that were observed and the advice that we have for anyone considering this path. So let's go over the agenda and I'll introduce my guest. So following up today, we'll have an interview with my guest today. After the interview is complete, we'll have some time to do Q&A through the Zoom feature, so encourage you to use that. And then I'll wrap with a few insights on where you could go next in your own journey in mixed reality. And so at this time, it's my pleasure to welcome, with her camera coming on, and my pleasure to introduce Professor Klaudia Proniewska, researcher and educator at Jagiellonian University Medical College in Kraków, Poland. And she's the director of the Center for Digital Medicine and Robotics at the Jagiellonian University Medical College. And she also serves as the head of functional and virtual medical 3D imaging laboratory in the Department of Diagnostic Imaging at the University Hospital in Krakow. So, Claudia, I'll invite you to turn your camera back on. And thank you so much for joining us this evening from your home in Poland. Thank you so much.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon from my side. It is a pleasure to be here with you and talk about mixed reality in education and also clinical approach. I'm happy to join and to share my experience.
I'm looking forward to welcome, and I'm looking forward to really digging in. I mean, when I look at before we dive into the research study, though, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your broader work at the intersection of medical education and immersive technology. And I noted as we were preparing for this webinar, you have the pleasure of leading these areas at one of the world's oldest institutions, established in 1364. It's the 12th oldest medical school in the world. What a fantastic history to be a part of, Claudia.
Oh yeah, it's really exciting to be the part of the historical, let's also line of the research and education. And definitely every day we feel that this past influence the future. And we talk about this that we have to be very careful with approaching and integrated new technologies in new educational models, I would say. So definitely we are looking for the past, but we are very encouraged for the future with new technologies, especially in medical field when the system is dynamic. We see that basically every day we can see the new tools to new technology, and also we are, of course, probably you too aware of artificial intelligence included in this process. And definitely mixed reality and everything which is connected with 3D, especially in this medical field, is crucial because looking at the human body, you have to have this capability to visualize in 3D. And very often, and this is what we are doing as a also research line, is to explore how we can really, as a students, also teachers, but a human being, observe the world, because in general we see the 3D world. But when you are going to medical imaging, for example, you have data onto the screen. And then you have to have this question and you have to have capability in your brain to visualize data in 3D. And then going to first year of medical student where they are really in huge new environment to study anatomy. They have information in books, of course, in cadaver, but still cadavers, they have some kind of limitation connected with general specimens. So the teachers of anatomy, I think they are doing great job, but with this kind of tools like mixed reality, like HoloAnatomy, they can really combine this information from several methods. So that's great, and I think that the spirit of our university, like you said, very old, is like that to really join new technologies with this vision of the methods that are also good, but how to combine them, and we try to answer these questions. And when I was first time in Cleveland, by the way, that was 2019, which I think is it's funny. This is almost 7 years later. Times fly, yeah. But definitely looking at other sites, how they are cope with 3D, it's really also the crucial part of development at our university.
It's interesting. You spoke a lot about using immersive technology to really understand data, and that's something that's come up in multiple discussions that I've had with leading technologists trying to solve real problems over the years in extended reality. Is that desire to simplify and really drive home the comprehension of the data? Is that what initially inspired you to go into this type of technology to see what you could solve?
Oh, I think that was more personal, I would say, because yeah, I think because the innovation starts from you because you observe the world. You have some needs, and basically, I started my career with cardiac environment. I was working in clinical trials connected with assessment of the arteries in the heart. And that was my beginning when I started to realize that I have problem itself to visualize this in 3D. And I must say that was my curiosity, really, to look for something that helped me to understand anatomy of the heart. So, in from my perspective, it was a really personal approach. And then I start to look for information in internet, basically, and PubMed, and also papers, scientific papers. And I must say, I just find you on one of the YouTube website. And I really love to show my students this movie. It's very old, still with HoloLens 1. That's not the problem, but to show the concept, I really want to share because this advertisement was very good to keep you what can bring this 3D visualization. So I don't know if you're happy about this answer, but basically that was really personal driven, curiosity. And apparently it worked and it works still.
No, it's a fantastic anecdote to share. It's not just the technical challenge, it's the personal, as you say, motivation
Yeah.
to I want to solve this, and I think this technology can help solving it. And what I love what you described is it's a journey. It's seeing you had the fortitude to sense the challenge and the problem, and then a solution resonated you when you saw a 2D rendering on a video, but you still grasp it enough, which is fantastic because the one thing we hear from a lot of folks when they're using this technology is a lot of people don't grasp it until they actually use it. And for you, that sounds like that reinforced it. But you really saw the potential for what we'll talk about in the study, but along with all your other immersive technology that you've used to advance your field. So thank you for sharing that. That's an amazing insight. Maybe we can talk a little bit then about we've talked about how immersive technology has impacted your fields of study and work. Let's talk a little bit about the study that you actually did, because a lot of questions get asked in new technology. Is it actually working? Is it helpful? What is the student kind of reaction? And so maybe talk a little bit about the study that you did on holoanatomy to try and bring it to life.
Oh yeah. Basically, when we decided to use HoloAnatomy, that was really a huge excitement. But also a lot of us skeptical comments. Why? Why we want to use it? We have a huge knowledge about anatomy in our university, which is completely true. So me and my team members, we were thinking, yeah, we have to ask several questions to our students, to our teachers. What can be the value of using 3D? So that's why the study you are referring to was conducted. And basically, we are questions, we are putting questions on the table to our students, and we very often using some kind of survey, but also we think even more broad about cognitive load using this technology. So the point is that we have very good feedback about this complementary approach, I would say. And definitely, students are happy to taste a little bit, I would say, a new technology because it's not very still common that everybody has at home HoloLenses or other glasses, basically, because we were doing this study on HoloLenses. But now we are moving a little bit to new technology, probably like all the universities using HoloAnatomy because we have a little bit change of technology, which is also very challenging because few years ago, which in case of developing of methodology of studying, we already have to switch the devices. So all the time we are questioned by the technological environment, and we have to put the educational question and also research question why we want to use it. So we have to do some kind of balance of integrated new technology in the medical education pathway. But at the same moment, we have to answer the question if this enough needed or why we want to need this. So I must say I still this is from perspective of the research a great field, but if you want to put really nice method in the curriculum of medical students, it's quite challenging. That's why we do these studies just to a little bit prove ourselves that we are going good pathway. So already we have new ideas for new questionnaires, for new surveys for our students and teachers. And also we are a little bit moving to smaller groups connected with dedicated research question or clinical question. Where is the value of the 3D and in particular subgroup? So yeah, I think it's really funny. Like you said about the road, every month, every new research, every new device connected with mixed reality put us in new research lines. So I think I really think that it's continuous process, and definitely if you want to go for this pathway, you need somebody like visionary or a leader, or at least few leaders in your environment to keep this enthusiasm. Because I saw a lot of the examples that people are happy of buying glasses, whatever it is, if it's HoloLenses, MetaQuest, or HP, doesn't matter. They are happy, they have it. They have some applications, they have some tools, and basically they put it in the corner or cupboard. So I think if you ask me about why we are doing these papers and research, we need to keep this enthusiasm also because this research gives us also some kind of feedback and we can study more things. So definitely is something that we have to put in some kind of balance with challenging of all the time approaching with new devices and
I love it.
upgrading the new version of the software. And this to keep these teachers and students happy about that. not putting them in the situation that they don't want to use it because it's too difficult, for example, or taking too much time. So definitely it's something that we are still struggling in our team, how to make this balance and make both sides happy. I'm not talking about money in this sense because if you have good ideas, you always can find some additional fundings for doing this research. So this is definitely for another webinar topic.
And I look forward to going into that.
Yeah, how to maintain this because it's really it's several and I start to feel like a businesswoman really in this
You
field.
are. You, listen, everything you've just described in the past couple of minutes has been so rich with the business and adoption and education approach. We could spend another hour unpacking it all. So many things you were saying were resonating. I really liked how intentional you were. Intentional about this technology looks like it will work. It will help us. Let's go into this to find proof points so that we can. One of the things you touched on was the champions and the adoption, the willingness to participate. And so you've created here as a body of evidence to say, hey, we have something that works. I would say that your model can be approached to any technology that you can apply to, but especially mixed reality because it's so new. And I want to talk a little bit about the things that you found, but I just wanted to share with you that what you've established as a best practice. Maybe you want to something that every institution thinks about taking this approach. It doesn't have to be blind studies and peer-reviewed research. It can be just what you found today. Very, very enlightening.
Oh, when I was in Cleveland, I would just refer to that. I was really like under a very big impression how you can manage that. Uh, but one of the question was how many students you have in your school? Yeah, I don't know exactly how many you have right now, but we have between 300 and 400. It depends on year. And this is because you're asking about some kind of tip. So if you want to approach, yeah, really, if you want to approach with this kind of technology and put this anyhow in a curriculum, you have to start from this where you are with your own let's say university let's put this way or groups or academic year. Because one of the thing was because we bought just 10 pairs of sets. Let's put this. So at the beginning we did very let's say test case environment for teaching. So not every student could use it also at the beginning. Which makes this unbalanced situation for students, but also for teachers. Yeah. So definitely this is something you have to be aware how to organize this. So right now, for example, we are a little bit switched the model. We have already classes with HoloAnatomy for every student, but it's not for every topic in anatomy classes, but it's just connected to we decided which topic will be covered with HoloAnatomy. Because we have also very small groups, like 7 people in a group, maybe up to 10. And so you have to have also this dynamic situation, how to switch the groups, how to use device, how to charge them. After years, you have also problem, some technical problem with itself device, not itself application. Definitely is something that you have to think is some kind of technical support during these classes. Is also not per definition because usually is one teacher in the group, and in a situation when you have to use also additional software, which is HoloAnatomy. So you have software, you have to be aware how to play with the software. If there is some errors. It happens also, whatever. You don't have internet, for example, and you are stuck in the situation that you cannot move with the classes. So there are also this kind of initial question you have to answer. Are we ready for that, basically? Definitely, I think I didn't have very negative situation, like not good opinion about itself mixed reality through these years. Always had this very enthusiastic people. Oh wow, we can see more. But 90% of the situation were some kind of showcases. Yeah. We went for conference and workshop. We set up the environment, or we invited them to an environment. That worked great, and still still you can find the fans who didn't see the HoloAnatomy or other application connected with mixed reality. And I must say this is very popular to do this, but like you said, you have to go to classroom, and then you have to define completely different questions. So this is what we are doing right now, and I thought really that it can be um, not even faster, but mm, more curves, I would
Fine.
say, or angles with this process.
Engaging.
But if you have good idea, if you take anatomies, you can take technical people, also people who are taking care of curriculum, and you do some kind of brainstorm about how you can use this technology in your teaching process. That's definitely something we did, and it helped. So you have to just put some kind of knowledge for these new people who are taking care of curriculum that, okay, we can do it. But like I said at the beginning of our webinar, you need this leader. Definitely, you need this leader in the sense of enthusiasm. So if somebody is thinking about putting anatomy, whole anatomy in the curriculum, definitely it cannot be a random person. It has to be somebody who has some kind of visual vision for that 3D is needed. Then it can work. Definitely.
I like how you searched for where we would make the most impact and focused on working out those details. And you listed off a great number of details. You're absolutely right. As I said, devil's in the details. You need to figure out how to make this technology operational. But I
Yeah.
love that you had an audience that was open to it. And then I would imagine through the research, you were able to reinforce the champion and the folks that you were working with. And I'm just going to share in the chat some of the bullets that I pulled out from the research as I went through your paper. And what stuck with me was like things like 91% felt better prepared for dissection. So the ability to understand those structural relations before they spent time in dissection. And 98% reported improved understanding of regional and systemic anatomy. Can you comment a little bit about what you found, and what the impact that you observed
Mhm.
through collecting this data?
Definitely is 3D topology of the anatomical structure. Probably is not the news. But this is what I was talking a few sentences ago, that sometimes we don't know that we have some issues, I would say, not problem, because it's not a problem, is issue that we don't see the things in 3D that they should be in 3D. And this transfer from 2D to 3D is, for some people is just like that. It's so easy because the brain works different, and for other is really tough stuff. And this possibility to visualize this topology of the anatomy structure, this relationship between structures, this is always the case. this is the feedback we have from students, from doctors, from medical staff. So definitely, this is something we are following because this is the most important thing. And because, like you said at the beginning, also, we have this educational pathway that we have. We are using your HoloAnatomy software, yeah, where the structures are beautiful and prepared in the most ideal way, which at the stage of studying anatomy is very crucial to understand this topology in 3D. And few years later, our students, and then they are become doctors, they have to struggle with real patients. So here we have liver in the 3D anatomy, whole anatomy software. We know where is the relationship between the arteries, veins, but it's general model. I call this general. But then you have the tumor of the liver, and you can also see this in 3D how there are angles of the arteries or veins where you should cut the part of the liver to remove the tumor. Are you going to uh, go good way and the patient will be relatively healthy? Yeah. Or you cannot do this because you will cut too much and patient anyhow can be in not good shape or even die. So this is this question of the clinical approach. So what we established in our team, there's personalized 3D visualization. So right now we have also our engineers who are working on that based on 3D scans, basically CT scans, MRI, we can reconstruct the 3D model dedicated to patient. So I can take your CT scan scene and see your liver, yeah, if there is a need. So definitely this link that you were studying in 3D things, and then you can very easy put in real situation. Of course, you need for that another software, but this is what you are also, I think, thinking as a big picture of mixed reality. That it has to be the beginning of the medical education. That we are giving this input. Okay, the 3D view is crucial, but then we are giving you this 3D whole anatomy because in the future you can also use this tool as your uh, supporting tool, yeah, for diagnostic process. So definitely, if you're referring to paper and this percentage, this is what they are talking about. That these 3D relationships are crucial in case of studying anatomy for first year students, but also in case of clinical approach.
What I like about the stats that you were able to pull together is evidence for things that we would talk about over years. There's some people you'll find the champions, for example, will just innately believe that this technology, because it's 3D and immersive and able to collaborate, will drive better learnings, will drive a better experience, a more engaging experience. And we hear that kind of anecdotal feedback, which is great. What I like about your study is, and here's the data that goes with it. We're showing that yes, students are telling us statistically that they feel better aligned. They understand what they're looking at more. They get that holistic understanding, and then be able to see, well, this is different from here in this person versus over here, and being able to tie it to clinical practice. So, I mean, congratulations on the results of the study. I'm sure that your team found it very
Yeah, and
impactful as well.
also because like you have 71% of hybrid model, I think this is that because at a certain moment they have to go to reality. Yeah. And that's why we have here less this percentage, but I think that's the part that we have to really be the partner for this reality. Yeah. because in the end, the doctor has to meet the patient. And not only 3D visualization is the case, yeah, because you have to put the holistic information. You have to see the parameters from the blood. You have to see how the patient is reacting, responding to your questions, his consciousness also, how he feels, she feels, and then this 3D can help. But then you have to have package of the information. So definitely, I'm happy that you put in my affiliation also this part of the hospital, because it's also something new what happened to our team. Because since 1 year we are the integrated part of the hospital, and then really this voice about the 3D is really very really loud. Why we need this 3D? So I'm really happy that I was like 7 years old years ago so curious, because I didn't think 7 years ago that it can be such a big impact in medical real life, let's say. I was happy that I can use it, and then that we can teach using this tool, but now became really complex structure, which makes our mixed reality future even better for not only my side, but I think all over the world.
Well, that foresight is exactly why leaders like you will continue to build on that long history of Jagiellonian University. And I'm glad you mentioned the complementary approach. Many of the institutions we work with do that complementary important approach to dissection, where there's learning before. I know what I'm going to expect to see. Then I go in and see, that's not quite what I expected, but I see this over here. And then they go back and reinforce, oh, now I understand. So that cycle has come up quite a bit. There are some institutions that are able to continue without dissection, but we find quite often there is a complementary approach. Very good. I'm well aware that we are keeping you from dinner. I'm sure we could continue our discussion. I just want to make sure that if there's any questions, and I'm just going to go to the questions now. If there's any questions that you have, folks viewing, we welcome those. And let's see. I think the first one we touched on, there was a question earlier about um, what was most helpful in the learnings for the students, and especially when compared to traditional methods. I think we talked a little bit about that. Unless there's anything you want to reemphasize, Claudia.
Oh, maybe I didn't touch yet this very deep this case, this issue. I think it's this cognitive load. Yeah. And we find out this really later on during the experiment we were doing, because we can also call this experiment a little bit with our students and teachers. This is what we were a little bit referring with this hybrid model, because there are really several people who cannot really cope with mixed reality for whatever reason, basically medical reasons or other some neuro sensitivity, let's put this way. And so we have to think definitely about this audience too. And maybe it will be for the next year or for the next year, because we are right now doing the study. We don't have yet the results, I must say, but we are doing the study about how students are having this process of the studying using mixed reality. So you don't have this haptic approach in mixed reality versus something that you can touch. But so we conducted a study, I must say, not only with my university, but also with a university in Nijmegen, Netherlands. So, but like I said, we don't have results yet. But I think itself the idea to check this make us users and also the engineers who are building the application more valued, I would say even. Because if somebody is coming to us, auditor or skeptic person, and she will ask why you are doing this and why. What is the issue to not use the cadavers or 3D print or whatever? We don't need so expensive technology to use that. Then we will have the answers, sorry, based on our research. Like, okay, you are maybe right, maybe not, but I can give you what we are doing about the cognitive load approach for medical students. So, as soon as possible, I will have this result. I will share with you because I think it's also nice to be first patient to the technology, have scientific evidence that we are really aware what we are doing. It's not that we are just fan of the glasses and mixed reality. And we don't want to do showcases. We just want to put this in really curriculum approach for our students. So this is, I think, I would like to add to this question because this is something definitely new what we are doing, and we are paying attention. Like I said, I will share with you results as soon as I will have it. And
I
the
look
good
forward to
part,
that.
and the
That
good
that's
part of that is that we will have this website from the Netherlands because they are using also the mixed reality. So, yeah,
I love how
definitely.
you look at it as a tool, that's this technology to manage the cognitive load. I really like that. I hope you don't mind if I steal that. I think of myself as a student of the most complex machine I've ever seen, as I've learned more about anatomy myself. But that complexity comes with an immense amount of cognitive load as anyone tries to digest. And by using something like this immersive technology and HoloAnatomy .next, be able to section that off. We're going to learn about this today and this, and go deep, and that way it doesn't feel like it's burdensome. Very good.
And
I
yeah, and also maybe after these years of our experience, we can say, okay, these structures you definitely have to go for mixed reality, but there are some structures that maybe they don't need this. So you also do the balance of this economical, I would say, approach also. Like one of the feedback I have from anatomists is definitely the studying the ear is one of these things that they are putting on top of the list of where should be used mixed reality. So it also help us to define this our internal, let's say, hierarchy of, and definitely in case of the volume of students we have to do this because we still not there to use for every anatomy classes that. Maybe you have this luck, but
Well, I like the value of where can it be used most, and I think that value is one of the drivers behind expanding HoloAnatomy to HoloAnatomy Neural now on the .next platform, because those structures you can't easily see in neuroanatomy in the central nervous system. And so it's a very good insight. I know you need to go. There's just one more question that we've got a little bit you talked a bit about, but any parting advice that you'd like to leave institutions considering this technology?
um, I think mm, ha, I said so much that I
You
don't
did.
know how to sum up, but there's few tips. Definitely mm, enthusiasm anyhow about new technology. But I think in general, the universities are changing about that. But after this enthusiasm, you have to have hard workers. So definitely, it's also about some kind of bigger picture about the timeline. Because if you want to put the effort of this kind of technology, you need to know that the reward will be not in 1 year. And I think this is the tricky part of this technology. This is also what I said before about the I really saw these cases in Poland that they were buying one device, playing and putting in a cupboard or drawer. Just okay, we let's say we finish the project, we deliver some, let's say, basic information. We are going to next project. And this technology really needs patience, I would say. Really patient, and this planning for the years, for decade, I would even say. If you are thinking about the mixed reality in educational approach for medical students, you have to see this plan, this maybe not business, maybe a little bit also business plan for that. Because first you have to have this patient that you introduce the product, because you have to. We didn't mention yet about teaching teachers. So in this business plan, you have to put the module of teaching teachers, which takes time also and energy and money and etc. So to sum up, let's say this our discussion, like you said, with some kind of tips, it's definitely patient for the technology and technical support, business and a research plan for minimum 5 years. So you have to be also aware that you don't have very spectacular reward in half a year, because there are projects that you have this reward very fast, but not in this case. You have to put more energy on that. But in the end, it will be definitely. And teaching teachers. This is I would just even do in the bold. Because students will be very happy to use this because they have capability. New generation has a lot of energy, and per definition they are doing this a little bit. But the older generation, we need more time for that. We need to think longer why we want to change our normal, natural approach of teaching. So I think it's the biggest challenge for us.
Very sage advice of high emphasis on the planning. We find it when well planned and then combined with our adoption services, some institutions were able to get live in a matter of weeks and emphasize that training aspect of making sure that each instructor is aware of how they can adapt to their curriculum and deliver to students. So thank you so much, Claudia. I really appreciate the time. Professor Proniewska, thank you for sharing your valuable insights about your work and your research that we covered today. It's been an enlightening conversation, so thank you so much for joining us today
Mhm.
for this session.
Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Good. So with that, I'll let Claudia get back to her family as it is evening in Poland, and I'll allow her to turn off her camera and be able to go back with her family. And then I'll leave you with a few final thoughts about how you would explore this technology. And so when we think about it, a lot of what we've been talking about today is about leveraging technology to reimagine anatomy learning. And Alencia XR has actually taken that to heart with the creation of the .next platform for immersive learning. And now that underpins HoloAnatomy. And so when we look at the .next platform, it's really built on a foundation that was established at Case Western Reserve University that you had Claudia talked about a little bit earlier. And the platform reinforces three core benefits. First, it enables instructors to design customized lessons and labs, combining their own content with the HoloAnatomy library. Both normal and abnormal anatomy can be included. Physiology, histology, and even clinical cases can be represented in a single session. The second thing is that it brings learning to life, as you heard us talk about in the discussion. Multiple learners and instructors can interact with the same holographic body in a shared XR environment using the MetaQuest 3. Instructors can be isolated and arranged and manipulated and regional dissection and even group learning. And the third thing is that it offers unmatched clarity through color-enhanced anatomical models. These have been, as Dr. Proniewska mentioned earlier, meticulously hand-drawn by experts for precision and visibility for that holistic view. And it really has a helping factor in students retaining those complex relationships. So those libraries come in two packages. First, there's HoloAnatomy.next, which supports gross anatomy with over 7,000 structures across 15 male and female systems. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's HoloAnatomy Neuro.next, which delivers the most detailed 3D neuroanatomy available. Now, to bring this into your classrooms, there's two apps that form the platform. First is the Hub, and that's your command center for immersive learning. Here's where you can customize the lessons and integrate your own content with ease. And then there's the XR Viewer, which running on MetaQuest 3 and Microsoft HoloLens allows you to enable life-size exploration of these structures, dynamic integration, a real-time collaboration in mixed reality. So as you're exploring what's possible for your school or your program, here's a few steps you can take. First, I would encourage you to explore our website, and we'll make sure you have a link to that after the webinar. Here where you'll find more details about the research that we were talking about today and additional in-depth stories. Second thing that I encourage you to take advantage of is the webinars. It's a great way to gain insights from other institutions beyond what we just talked about today. While the programs may be different, you'll see common challenges in helping students master anatomy that led them to HoloAnatomy. And then when you're ready to explore how can your own program achieve similar outcomes that we talked about today or beyond, and we'd welcome that conversation. Feel free to reach out to us and either in the chat, upcoming surveys, or any post session. We'd be glad to help you discover what's possible for your program. So this concludes the formal presentation today. I want to end with just a thank you. Thank you for spending the time for us today. Thank you again to Dr. Proniewska for sharing her insights from her work and from her research. We enjoyed bringing insights like this discussed today and recognize the challenge that you have as educators trying to navigate accelerating technology, but the path is always to better learning outcomes as opposed to the sake of just the technology. Well, Alencia XR actually would like to offer our deep expertise in immersive learning and help you navigate to better learning outcomes. Now, as a follow-up to this webinar, you will receive a survey when the webinar ends. We'd really appreciate your feedback and any recommendations you have. And you'll also be receiving a follow-up email in the next couple of days with a link to the recording and any material we discussed. So thank you for your time today. I look forward to continuing the discussion.